I'm also poor signal, great signal. Wow. rushing to get on my live stream this morning. Oh, my life right now. I need coffee really bad. This can't be my face today. This is not how I looked in the mirror just now. I looked much nicer. Good morning. Good morning, Kelly. How are you? How's your weekend? How's the weather in Texas? Andrew's in here. You guys ready to see my flowers? Dr. X! Good morning. Where are you viewing me, Dr. X? Where am I? Where's this pumping through? Oh, thank you. It just looks shocking when I look in the mirror and then I look on this. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't. It's shocking. I picked flowers this weekend. The wind is blowing. And these flowers, someone needs to make like a men's cologne of larkspur and phlox and forest fern and celandine poppies. Look at this. I did a haps too of me picking the flowers. I had to do reconnaissance for my friend Margaret. Normally we go together, but she's still not totally vaccinated, and you know, if you don't have health insurance, like she's been very like scared to get the virus, so she's getting vaccinated today, I think, her second dose. Good morning. So then in 2 weeks it's on. Andrew, thank you. So this hillside that I went to look at that poppy right there. Isn't that pretty? Like, so I want some man to smell like this moss blocks right here. I will devour him. That's all. Should I leave it right here? The petals are flying everywhere. That's the thing about picking wildflowers is you can't. Look, I have petals. It's raining petals. You can't keep them very long. Sometimes, if you put like a little bit of bleach in your, excuse me, vase, I think it'll keep longer. Anyway, did you miss me? That's all I care about. Yes. Let's petition the company. Andrew, oh, okay, I'll look. Andrew wants to be the one that I devour. Do you want to be eaten by me? I love how I'm like, I don't have allergies, not at all. And then I put my face in a bunch of wildflowers and then immediately have to blow my nose. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. So I'm not going to tell you my big news. I decided I'm just going to keep that to myself, my little personal victory. But my news is that I'm starting school this fall. I'm going back to college. Oh my God. I'm gonna be a college student again. And it's gonna be great. And I think I've almost convinced my sister to do it with me. I almost had, when I was going to a different school, because I knew I was going to go to school. Like I was going to try and go to school this fall, but I had applied to my old school here, and I almost had Margaret convinced that she needed to go back to school too. But she was like stressing out about it, and I'm like, well, don't do it if you're going to stress out. And now I've switched schools completely, and I think I might have my my younger sister convinced that she needs to go back to school. So anyway, and because I'm her sister, I'm like, just do it. Just do what I say. And she gets like, I think everybody gets a little bit panicked when I'm like, just do it. This is the right thing that you need to do. I have a hat. Should I put it on? First, you can look at it. I have an event this weekend in Springfield, and my mom thinks that I need to wear a hat. So we'll try this one on. Try this one to see. This is very Meghan Markle, I think. It has a clip, but also a headband. I'm feeling great. I had a wonderful weekend. Maybe I shouldn't have. It has a headband too, but I don't particularly like headbands. I don't know, guys. I think this is too old lady church for me. What do you think? My head bouquet. Hold on here. Hold on. I know that I'm supposed to be reading some book to you, but we have a hat crisis. I was going to say it looks like a derby hat. And how am I supposed to wear it? I think the problem is the orientation on my head. Also the angle of this, maybe. Also my hair, maybe. Someone fix this. Derby. La Mexicana, I'm great. How are you? I can't. There's another hat over here, but I think Ayla's gonna wear it. I'll show it to you. I think this one's really cute. No, as in Kentucky. I like this one. Baby. This one's a winner. I don't know if I like the color, but yes, it's horse races. You've never heard of the Kentucky Derby? Are you just making fun of me? Is this a joke? The joke is that you've never heard of the Kentucky Derby? Or the Preakness, the Triple Crown? What are all of them? you've heard it now that I've mentioned it. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Also, I don't know, here around this area, people have there's Derby Day, and it's not so much about the race as it is about having like gin and tonics in your yard. The first one looks better. Yes, we're voting. Actually, all I care about is Andrew's opinion about it. He actually likes hats. The first one looks better, but how? Um. Anyway, yes. So we have like Derby Day parties and stuff here, and you do wear hats, and maybe the. Oh, you missed it. But I have a um an event this weekend to go to, and I think I'm gonna wear a hat. If I can find a way to keep it on my head. Do I maybe I just need to like put my hair somehow? We are gonna get to this book. Is that why you came to read a book? Or did you come to um watch me try hats on? It's kind of a mournful event. It's a memorial event. It's Abraham Lincoln's death day, and I'm in Illinois, so it's a big deal here. They have several like military ensembles, and I'm supposed to lay a wreath at the tomb. They canceled it last year because of COVID, and I guess they're just going ahead with it this year. Yeah, maybe it's a bit comical for that, especially since it won't stay on my head because my hair is too slick. Speaking of, I don't want to hype you guys up about it because I might chicken out. Um, yeah, if I was wearing a suit, but I am getting my hair done, cut, all of that on later this month as well. It's not gonna work, Andrew. Someone needs to do it. Put it on me. That I think is the moral of this story. Someone needs to put it on my head and pin it in place, maybe. All right. Let's settle down, everyone. Settle down. Mm. Um, and read this book now that I've sufficiently messed my hair up. I've gone completely off track and topic. What? You saying no? I mean, when you're looking at the hat, you're like, oh my god, isn't that a beautiful hat? Maybe it just needs to be bent or something. You're like, that is a very pretty, beautiful hat. I'm gonna put it on my head. And then the story changes. Alright. Samsara. Samsara, guys. Are you even still here? Do we do a recap? The recap is Siddhartha has become a businessman, and he and Kamala are getting along very well. And he's learning lots of things about like how to be a businessman, how like the cost of goods sold and things like that. But he's still using all of the things that the way of thinking that he found out through his personal journey of being a samana, of sitting in the woods and just fasting. What does he say? I know how to fast. I know how to think, fast. What are they? I feel like we should know this. He said it several times. Anyway, it's not sinking in. Samsara is the next chapter, and before we read it, I want to recommend a beautiful film called Samsara, and it's not a silent film really, but there's no real dialogue in it, and there's no plot. It is I don't know how to describe it other than like Samsara pretty much sums up the idea of samsara in this movie. And I feel like it was made in 2010. It was like made in 2010 or 2012. Who else has seen it? It was on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it still is or not. All right, I'm going to start reading. For a long time, Siddhartha had lived the life of the world without belonging to it. His senses, which had the Red Dwarf episode. No, this is a feature-length film. It's so good. Class dismissed. We're all just gonna go watch the movie right now, or I'm gonna go down to the office and wheel the giant television on that thing, on the caster thing. I'm gonna wheel it into our classroom and plug it into the wall, and I'm gonna put the VHS in, and we're gonna watch Samsara right now instead of reading. Also, I'm going to have my classroom helper go get us all milk from the cafeteria, and we're going to sip our chocolate milk and watch it at the same time. Okay. His senses, which had deadened during his ardent samana years. We were oh my god. Weren't they? Get your mats out, roll them out. We're gonna have chocolate milk and watch a VHS. I need some me time. I need to text my boyfriend or something. It's time for a VHS, kids. Okay, so what now? His senses, which he had deadened during his ardent samana years, were awakened. Oh my gosh, my sister's serious. She's asking me for help, like to get her transcript sent to the college. Oh my god. I'm ruining everyone's life. He had tasted riches, passion, and power, but for a long time he remained a samana in his heart. Clever Kamala had recognized this. His life was always directed by the art of thinking, waiting, and thinking, waiting, and fasting. Thinking, waiting, fasting. We know how to do this. The people of the world, the ordinary people, were still alien to him, just as he was apart from them. The years passed by, enveloped by comfortable circumstances. Siddhartha hardly noticed their passing. He had become rich. He had long possessed a house of his own and his own servants and a garden at the outskirts of the town by the river. So he has really, like, really become wealthy. People liked him. They came to him if they wanted money or advice. Just checking to see how long this is. Not too long. However, with the exception of Kamala, he had no close friends. That glorious, exalted awakening which he had at once experienced in his youth, in the days after Gautama's preaching, after the parting from Govinda, that alert expectation, that pride of standing alone without teachers and doctrines, that eager readiness to hear the divine voice within his own heart, had gradually become a memory, had passed. The only fountainhead which had once been near, and which had once sung loudly within him, now murmured softly in the distance. However, many things which he had learned from the Samanas, which he had learned from Gautama, from his father, from the Brahmins, he still retained for a long time: a moderate life, pleasure in thinking, hours of meditation, secret knowledge of the self, of the eternal self, that was neither body nor consciousness. Many of these he had retained, others were submerged and covered with dust. Just as the potter's wheel, once set in motion, still turns for a long time and then turns only very slowly and stops, so did the wheel of the ascetic, the wheel of thinking, the wheel of discrimination, still revolve for a long time in Siddhartha's soul. It still revolved, but slowly and hesitatingly, and it had nearly come to a standstill. Slowly, like moisture entering the dying tree trunk, slowly filling and rotting it, so did the world and inertia creep into Siddhartha's soul. It slowly filled his soul, made it heavy, made it tired, sent it to sleep. But on the other hand, his senses became more awakened. They learned a great deal, experienced a great deal. What do you think of this, like, rotting of the soul? I don't know how I feel about it, because he's clearly serving some kind of purpose within humanity. If people are coming to him for advice and money, I mean, we all do. We all serve a purpose, but he's has a specific role in this community. Um, and I guess when he was sitting in the woods, that wasn't. I mean, he was just minding his own business, right? Not really affecting people, or I guess he was, since he was still eating rice bowls now and again. Siddhartha had learned how to transact business affairs, to exercise power over people. I keep looking up, and you guys' comments are still here, and I keep wanting to laugh about, because the comments are still there. They don't just disappear like in Periscope. Okay. He learned how to transact business affairs, to exercise power over people, to amuse himself with women. Now, women plural. Now. He had learned to wear fine clothes, to command. Am I on? Can you guys see me? Can someone comment? Do I need to restart? No. Okay. I was wondering if I would just get completely off when, like, get booted if somebody called, because somebody was calling. So am I back normal? So I got a phone call and I declined it, but I'm still going here apparently. So, okay. All right. Good. I'm glad you're here. Sorry for the drama. We will get back in here. Okay. Okay. He had learned to wear fine clothes, to command servants, to bathe in sweet smelling waters. He had learned to eat sweet and carefully prepared foods, also fish and meat and fowl, spices and dainties, and to drink wine, which made him lazy and forgetful. He had learned to play dice and chess, to watch dancers, to be carried in sedan chairs, to sleep on a soft bed, but he had always felt different from and superior to the others. He had always watched them a little scornfully, with a slightly mocking disdain, with that disdain which a samana always feels towards people of the world. If Kamaswami was upset, if he felt that he had been insulted, or if he was troubled with his business affairs, Siddhartha had always regarded him mockingly. But slowly and imperceptibly, with the passing of the seasons, his mockery and feeling of superiority diminished. Gradually, along with his growing riches, Siddhartha himself acquired some of the characteristics of the ordinary people, some of their childishness, and some of their anxiety. And yet he envied them. The more he became like them, the more he envied them. He envied them. The one thing that he lacked, and that day they had, the sense of importance with which they lived their lives, the depth of their pleasures and sorrows, the anxious but sweet happiness of their continual power to love. These people were always in love with themselves, with their children, with honor or money, with plans or hope, but these he did not learn from them. These childlike pleasures and follies, he only learned the unpleasant things from them which he despised. It happened more frequently after a merry evening. He lay late in bed the following morning and felt dull and tired. He would become annoyed and impatient with Kamaswami when Kamaswami bored him with his worries. He would laugh too loudly when he lost at dice. His face was still more clever and intellectual than any other people's, but he rarely laughed, and gradually his face assumed the expressions which are so often found among rich people, the expressions of discontent, of sickliness, of displeasure, of idleness, of lovelessness. Slowly the soul sickness of the rich crept over him. Well, well, well. Do you guys notice that on about rich people, that they look dead inside? Like a veil, like a thin mist, a weariness settled on Siddhartha, slowly, every day, a little thicker, every month a little darker, every year a little heavier. As a new dress grows old with time, loses its bright color, becomes stained and creased, the hems frayed, and here and there weak and threadbare places, so had Siddhartha's new life, which he had begun after his parting from Govinda, become old. In the same way it loses its color and sheen with the passing of the years, creases and stains accumulated and hidden in the depths, here and there already appearing, waiting disillusionment and nausea. Siddhartha did not notice it. He only noticed that the bright and clear inward voice that had once awakened him and had always guided him in his finest hours had become silent. The world had caught him, pleasure, covetousness, idleness, and finally also that vice that he had always despised and scorned as the most foolish, acquisitiveness. Property, possessions, and riches had also finally trapped him. They were no longer a game and a toy. They had become a chain and a burden. Siddhartha wandered along a strange, twisted path of this last and most base declivity, through the game of dice. Since the time he had stopped being a samana in his heart, Siddhartha began to play dice for money and jewels, with increasing fervor, a game in which he had previously smilingly and indulgently taken part as a custom of the ordinary people. He was a formidable player. Few dared play him, for his stakes were so high and reckless. He played the game as a result of a heartfelt need. He derived a passionate pleasure through the gambling away and squandering of wretched money. In no other way could he show more clearly and mockingly his contempt for riches, the false deity of businessmen. So he staked high and unsparingly, hating himself, mocking himself. He won thousands, he threw thousands away, lost money, lost jewels, lost a country house, won again, lost again. He loved that anxiety, that terrible and oppressive anxiety, which he had experienced during the game of dice, during the suspense of high stakes. He loved this feeling and continually sought to renew it, to increase it, to stimulate it. For in this feeling alone did he experience some kind of happiness, some kind of excitement, some heightened living in the midst of his satiated, tepid, insipid existence. And after every great loss, he devoted himself to the procurement of new riches, went eagerly after business, and pressed his debtors for payment, for he wanted to play again. He wanted to squander again. He wanted to show his contempt for riches again. Oh my gosh, this is so very like, I want to again to like leave this text and talk about whether or not like, yeah, this internal alchemy of like, have you guys ever had the experience of like you're very someone, I don't know, you're wrapped up in some kind of drama, maybe it's someone else's drama even, um and you have this realization that perhaps you are getting off, so to speak, on, yeah, like the roller coaster ride of it, and that you would prefer to just not, that you prefer just being even instead of like being sucked in. And I feel like he's fully on the ride. He's fully on the roller coaster right now. Also, gambling. Um, I don't have the stomach for it. I just don't. One time I've gambled at a casino like twice in my entire life, and the first time I went in, I was and gambled. I'm pretty sure I was over 30. Yeah, I was like 30 something, and I wouldn't even use my money. Like I was like, give me $1 and I'll put it in the slot. And then of course I got like it came up like $31 and something, and I just hit cash out. Like I can't deal. Like first of all, it's boring. Second of all, like I can see using this money instead of just paying someone else for the privilege of wondering if I can win more. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I won $31 from, or $30 from a borrowed dollar the first time I ever played any sort of gambling. That's beginner's luck. I think that they can like tell somehow this is your first time ever gambling, so we're gonna like hook you. But like that was enough. Like I was fine with my $30. Like I'll go eat something nice and and be fine with it. But did you see people in there? Also, that was really creepy. The creepy part was seeing the people that just turn into like some other life form, like that they live for putting the money in the machine, and they're just sitting there and like, wow. Um, yeah. Anyway, that was a lucky dollar, I guess. Um, anyway, he who staked 10,000. Oh. Siddhartha became impatient at losses. He lost his patience in slow paying debtors. I think this is a less the overarching lesson of this is, and something I have to learn about food for me, which I'm learning. It's I'm like actively learning it right now. There's like this immediate gratification, and then there's which it make it you feel really good like right away, like if you have a cupcake or candy or something, which I haven't had. I've not had sugar. I'm still off the sugar. Um, then you feel like high. You really feel it. You feel high. You're like, oh my god, this is the best moment ever. Woo! And your brain's going woo. And then later you're like, I need that again. I need that high again in order to be happy, in order to be high again, right? Um, but if you just don't, um, and drink water, which I feel like I need to make that my goal again this week, is to drink more water, because at the beginning of the week I was doing really well, and then I got busy and I didn't keep up with it like I wanted to the rest of the week. So that's my goal again this week, is drink more water. Um, if you drink water and eat healthy food like vegetables, you feel better, guys. I don't know. Go go figure. Oh, it's timer. That's brilliant. Yeah. Um so anyway, this is the Samana chapter. Speaking of Samana, he who staked 10,000 on the throw of the dice and laughed became more hard and mean in business, and sometimes dreamt of money at night. And I've dreamt of food when I haven't in a minute, but I do dream of like food and eating. And whenever he awakened from this hateful spell, when he saw his face reflected in the mirror on the wall of his bedroom, grown older and uglier, whenever shame and nausea overtook him, he fled again to a new game of chance, fled in confusion to passion, to wine, and from there back again to the urge for acquiring and hoarding wealth. He wore himself out in this senseless cycle, became old and sick. Then a dream once reminded him he had been with Kamala in the evening, in her lovely pleasure garden. Is that what they're calling it these days? Pleasure garden? They sat under a tree talking. Oh, it's an actual garden. Kamala was speaking seriously, and grief and weariness were concealed behind her words. She had asked him to tell her about Gautama, and could not hear enough about him. How clear his eyes were, how peaceful and beautiful his mouth, how gracious his smile, how peaceful his entire manner. For a long time he had to talk to her about the illustrious Buddha, and Kamala had sighed and said, one day, perhaps soon, I will also become a follower of this Buddha. I will give him my pleasure garden and take refuge in his teachings. But then she enticed him, and in love play she clasped him to her with extreme fervor, fiercely and tearfully, as if she wanted once more to extract the last sweet drop from this fleeting pleasure. Never had it been so strangely clear to Siddhartha how closely related passion was to death. Roll in the mulch. Then he lay beside her, and Kamala's face was near to his, and under her eyes and near the corners of her mouth he read clearly for the first time a sad sign. Fine lines and wrinkles, a sign which gave a reminder of autumn and old age. Siddhartha himself, who was only in his 40s, had noticed gray hairs here and there in his black hair. Weariness was written on Kamala's beautiful face, weariness from continuing along a long path which had no joyous goal, weariness and incipient old age, and concealed and not yet mentioned, perhaps not yet conscious fear, fear of the autumn of life, fear of old age, fear of death. Sighing, he took leave of her, his heart full of mystery and secret fear. Then Siddhartha had spent the night at his house with dancers and wine, and pretended to be superior to his companions, which he no longer was. He had drunk much wine, and late after midnight he went to bed tired and yet agitated, nearly in tears and in despair. In vain did he try to sleep. His heart was so full of misery, he felt he could no longer endure it. He was full of nausea, which overpowered him, like a distasteful wine or music that was too sweet and superficial, or like the too sweet smile of the dancers, or the too sweet perfume of their hair and breasts. Is he having a panic attack? But above all, he was nauseated with himself, with his perfumed hair, with the smell of wine from his mouth, with the soft, flabby appearance of his skin, like one who's eaten and drunk too much and vomits painfully and then feels better. So did the restless man wish he could rid himself with one terrific heave of these pleasures, of these habits, of this entirely senseless life. Only at daybreak, and at the first signs of activity outside his townhouse, did he doze off and had a few moments of semi-oblivion, a possibility of sleep. During that time he had a dream. Kamala kept a small rare songbird in a small golden cage. It was about this bird that he dreamt. This bird... Oh, welcome, Tina. This bird, which usually sang in the morning, became mute, and as this surprised him, he went up to the cage and looked inside. The little bird was dead and lay stiff on the floor. He took it out, held it a moment in his hand, and then threw it away on the road. And at the same moment, he was horrified, and his heart ached, as if he had thrown away with this dead bird all that was good and of value in himself. Awakening from this dream, he was overwhelmed by a feeling of great sadness. It seemed to him that he spent his life in a worthless and senseless manner. He retained nothing vital, nothing in any way precious or worthwhile. He stood alone like a shipwrecked man on the shore. Sadly, Siddhartha went to a pleasure garden that belonged to him, closed the gates, sat under a mango tree, and felt horror and death in his heart. He sat and felt himself dying, withering, finishing. Gradually, he collected his thoughts and mentally went through the whole of his life. From the earliest days which he could remember, when had he really been happy? When had he really experienced joy? Well, he had experienced this several times. He had tasted it in the days of his boyhood, when he had won praise from the Brahmins, when he far outstripped his contemporaries, when he excelled himself at the recitation of the holy verses. Hello, Miriam. Welcome. In argument with the learned men, when assisting at the sacrifices, then he had felt in his heart, a path lies before you, which you are called to follow. The gods await you. And again, as a youth, when his continually soaring goal had propelled him in and out of the crowd of similar seekers, when he had striven hard to understand the Brahmin's teachings, when every freshly acquired knowledge, oh, thank you so much, only engendered a new thirst, then again, in the midst of his thirst, in the midst of his efforts, he had thought, onwards, onwards, this is your path. He had heard this voice when he had left his home and chosen the life of the samanas, and again, when he had left the samanas and gone to the perfect one, and also when he had left him for the unknown. How long was it now since he had heard this voice, since he had soared to any heights? How flat and desolate his path had been. How many long years he had spent without any lofty goal, without any thirst, without any exaltation, content with small pleasures, and yet never really satisfied. Without knowing it, he had endeavored and longed all these years to be like all these other people, like these children, and yet his life had been much more wretched and poorer than theirs, for their aims were not his, not their sorrows his. This whole world of the Kamaswami people had only been a game to him, a dance, a comedy, Which one watches? Only Kamala was dear to him, had been of value to him, but was she still? Did he still need her, and did she still need him? Were they not playing a game without an end? Was it necessary to live for it? No. This game was called Samsara, a game for children, a game which was perhaps enjoyable, played once, twice, 10 times, but was it worth playing continually? Then Siddhartha knew that the game was finished, that he could play it no longer. A shudder passed through his body. He felt as if something had died. He sat all that day under the mango tree, thinking about his father, thinking of Govinda, thinking of Gautama. Had he left all these in order to become a Kamaswami? He sat there till night fell. When he looked up and saw the stars, he thought, I'm sitting here under my mango tree in my pleasure garden. He smiled again. Was it necessary? Was it right? Was it not a foolish thing that he should possess a mango tree in a garden? He had finished with that. That also died in him. He rose, said farewell to the mango tree and the pleasure garden. As he had not had any food that day, he felt extremely hungry and thought of his house in the town and of his room and bed, of the table with food. He smiled wearily, shook his head, and said goodbye to these things. The same night, Siddhartha left his garden and the town and never returned. For a long time, Kamaswami tried to find him, believing he had fallen into the hands of bandits. Kamala did not try to find him. She was not surprised when she learned that Siddhartha had disappeared. Had she not always expected it? Was he not a samana without a home, a pilgrim? She had felt it more than ever at their last meeting, and in the midst of her pain at her loss, she rejoiced that she had pressed him so close to her heart on that last occasion, had felt so completely possessed and mastered by him. When she heard the first news of Siddhartha's disappearance, she went to the window where she kept a rare songbird in a golden cage. She opened the door of the cage, took the bird out, and let it fly away. For a long time she looked after the disappearing bird. From that day she received no more visitors and kept her house closed. After a time, she found she was with child as a result of her last meeting with Siddhartha. She's pregnant! The drama. All right, guys, let's talk about this. What do you think? I think that Siddhartha is one of these people. I know. Oh my gosh, we Andrew and I both already read this, so we knew this, but still, I think Siddhartha is one of those people that just doesn't do things in half measures, right? He's either totally like a total samana aesthetic, or he's like gambling and has like all the women and all the wine and the food, and he's not satisfied. He's not. Now what? One part that was interesting to me was he's like mentally in his mind, he's thinking that he's not like anybody else. And I feel like I want to tell a story. I've mentioned this guy before, McCoy. And if you guys, Andrew knows who I'm talking about, and his dad is buried behind the house in the cemetery just recently, just this year. Inauguration day, bizarre. And sometimes I still think about that day, and I'm like, what? Anyway, he came rolling up, and it was weird because like the other day, his social media like popped up, and I said, oh my God, does he have tattoos on his face? And it looked like he has tattoos on his face. What is he doing? He had a bunch of tattoos. Fine. And now they're on his face. And I guess at the time I found it displeasing, but not, I mean, that that would require me to have any feelings toward him whatsoever. So I don't have enough feelings toward him to be disappointed in him. Let me put it that way. Um anyway, so I mentioned that one day. I mentioned that on Thursday. No, I mentioned it on Friday, and he rolled up in the driveway here yesterday. Actually, his friend was driving in a truck, and he was in the passenger side, and I was outside filling around because I'm planting flowers and things. So I came over and talked to him, and they wanted to talk about the Martin boxes, and just wanted to like basically talk. And sure enough, he had these face tattoos, and Ayla came out and said hi, and I think she was trying to like save me a little bit, like we got to go because we were going to go to Rural King to get flower boxes and flowers and things. And so I'm like, oh, I gotta go, like I told her I'd take her to the store and we'd buy flowers, so I've got to go. Okay, so Ayla and I get in the car, and she was like, he had tattoos on his face. And I'm like, yeah, he has this thing where he has to feel, and maybe I'm way out of bounds, just talking about like someone's internal feelings. When I'm not them, but I have interacted with him enough. I'm like, he has this like feeling like he has to be different from other people. Like he has to somehow show that he's different from other people. And Ayla and I had this conversation about how we don't, like, I don't have that feeling. She doesn't have that feeling because we know we're different. Like, we know we're different from other people because everyone, fundamentally, we are all different, right? Dan, I'm so glad you're on Haps. It's the demonstrative. It's like being demonstrative about it, which is fine. Do that. But it's not going to change the fact that you're different. You're Moose, you're already different. You're already different. And it's not, I don't know if it's attention seeking, or just what's happening. We're reading this book, Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. Have you read this, Dan? Have you read Siddhartha or any Herman Hesse books? We're talking about a guy that came to the house yesterday, just rolled up in the driveway yesterday, and he had tattoos on his face, and like how this is a Jess, hi. How are you, Jess? And how this is, it's like a trend too. Oh, thank you. Yeah, self-expression versus self-attention. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. What did he want? He just wanted to talk. Visit. And his friend that was driving him, some good old boy, they were in this pickup truck. They wanted to talk about my who was he? Everyone's like, who is this person? This person, I'm good, Jess. Everybody follow Jess. She's on Haps too. Oh yeah, I think he's harmless. Of course, I think that of everyone. So maybe my maybe my metrics aren't exactly like calibrated to the world. I don't know. I lock my doors. It's fine. And he knew where I live, and he's known where I live since I got back here. So, because word gets around. Anyway, they were wanting to talk about my Martin houses. Yeah, it was weird. He has like now he's got like what's the name of it? There's a specific name for this symbol. It's like 3 spirals with like that connect in the center on his chin. And this guy is white. This guy's a cracker. Okay, he's like white, and then he has like these lines on his nose, and he's just completely covered in tattoos, like the rest of his body. Um. Anyway, his friend, this good old boy, he wanted to talk about how I need to clean my martin houses out. I have martins. I have 5 martins. They've come back like, you please don't tell me what to do. Um, no, anyway, so, and that was the other thing too. I am live, Eric. Eric, I'm live. So there's these birds called purple martins, and they come back here in the summertime, but they like a certain kind of house. And so I have 2 martin houses, and they're up really high, and they like having like little porches off of their house to build their nests in. But you want martins, because purple martins, first of all, they sound beautiful, they look beautiful flying, but they eat their weight in mosquitoes every day. They just they thrive and eat, they're mosquito eating machines. So I feel really lucky to have them, and people are jealous. Some people will put martin boxes out, and they're kind of choosy, like where they want to roost. So the purple martins are back. I have 5 of them. So, and they're kind of coexisting with a little sparrow. It's weird. They have this little weird commune going on where they have, like, the martins are, yeah, I every once in a while I'm live on Twitter. So there's a weird little bird commune I have. They like the one birdhouse I have much better than the other one. But I have a ton of birdhouses. I have bluebird houses. I'm fixing to go get a bunch of hummingbird feeders. I'm going to have those too. Anyway, the point was, we had this whole conversation about probably try that on everyone. What? We had this whole conversation about how it's, do what you want, like color your hair whatever wild colors, like that's fun. Get tattoos, that's fun, whatever, if it's fun for you, or holds some like personal significance maybe. But like there is this difference, and like I know you guys know people that are like this, that are attention seeking instead of self-expression, and he's definitely like the former, attention seeking, hence rolling up in my driveway like without notice, just rolling up and like interrupting my day, which is not, it's not uncommon for people around here to do that. That's just how people are here. But then also, like, I said, well, I've got to go buy some flowers, and he says things like, okay, you can do that, you can go buy flowers, like giving me permission. I can't stand that. Like, I just told you what I'm going to do. It wasn't, I wasn't asking you. I was not asking you at all. Teach him. Oh, well. Anyway. So just word to the wise, like that's off-putting. Like, just don't tell people, like, act like you're giving them permission to exist and do things that you're already going to do. On that note, I'm going to go. Follow me. If you're not already following me, follow me. Yeah, the spring, it's spring, so people are rolling by, saying hi. That's fine. And now that hopefully everyone's getting vaccinated, we can resume our normal, like, neighbor pop-ins. That's fine. Let's do it. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you on Wednesday. Do we want to try and do a Tuesday? broadcast somewhere. I tried to do this on my flower picking on. I will, Dan. As soon as I'm done, I will follow you. I tried to do my flower picking on Instagram. Oh, I won't delete the stream. You can go watch my other streams here too. And nobody was in there. I don't know. Instagram Live is weird. You have to have a whole bunch of followers, I think. All right, guys. Love you. I'll see you Wednesday here.